guys, I'm making this happen.
And suddenly, all of our listeners realized they had to pee.
Whatever. I spilled a little bit, but that one was better than most.
God, that's a beautiful looking beer.
It is incredibly pretty. This one's mine.
Yeah, I'm not.
Aaron.
My glass isn't empty yet.
Jenny.
Thank you.
All right.
So...
Was that my microphone? No, that was the bottle. That was the growler touching the mic.
We're professionals here at Outlander Drunks.
So
Professional drunks.
we didn't talk about a bit. Julie, do you have a bit?
I got nothing, man.
So last night was New Year's Eve. Again, we record these 2 in 1. So last week's was the slightly sober one. This week's is the slightly more drunk one. Both were recorded on New Year's Day. So last night was New Year's Eve, even though it was 2 weeks ago. Anyway, regardless, I was at our local dive bar watering hole talking to a friend of ours, of mine and Julie's, who's a very well-respected, well-known feminist writer who takes constant abuse on Twitter. And I was talking about how I feel like I am mostly shielded from that because most of the things that I cover with any prominence are primarily watched by women. So I cover Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, I cover Supergirl, I cover this through the podcast. I cover Timeless, which isn't a predominantly female audience, but which honestly is just not getting so much attention that I have to deal with hate. Also, I like it, so people aren't dicks about it, you know? Mm-hmm. So there have been 2 circumstances where I've taken a lot of shit on Twitter from people about something I review. And they are, when I was covering Heroes, I had one troll that was so mad at me for liking things, not for disliking them, even though they were really mean reviews. And the other is when I covered Sherlock, which is back tonight, which is why it was on my brain. And I said, well, I'm sort of readying myself because the audience for Sherlock is all over the place, but a lot of them are men who are going to think I'm stupid no matter what I have to say. And the last time I reviewed Sherlock is when someone called me a member of the Artsy Vagina Club, which I would like to have on my tombstone. By the way.
That's a fun pin.
Yeah, that's Artsy Vagina Club.
Artsy Vagina Club.
Yeah. So I was talking about, Sherlock's coming back, so I have to get ready for that to happen again. This will be even bigger, and it's 3 episodes instead of 1, and blah, 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 blah. Point being, I realized this morning that this is the first time that I have any anxiety about one of these episodes because I really do not like this episode of Outlander.
It's kind of...
I like half of it. And... You asked a while back why it is that Tom and Lorenzo stopped doing those amazing Outlander recaps, and it's because there are sections of the Outlander fandom that get so angry and defensive when you dislike something that they turn on you. I do not expect that anybody who's been listening to the show
we have a very niche group of that
But
fandom.
I want to say, if you're new to the show... Like, say, I don't know, maybe it's 2 years from now when we're famous and we have new listeners who are devoted Outlander fans. I would just say, I mean, in the common parlance, it's check yourself before you wreck yourself, but really,
I'm sorry, that's chiggity check yourself before you riggedy wreck yourself.
That's great, Julie. Thank you for the clarification.
You will.
You should really spend more time on Twitter. They're all about that.
Nope.
It's great. It's great. It's great. It's really great. It's great. It's great. You fit right in because correcting people for no reason is a big deal there. You know what I heard when you said that, Julie? I just heard me, period. Anyway, so I would say if you get upset because we don't like this episode, please just remember that we like all of the episodes and that not everything can be great all the time.
Right.
It would be, rarely done. There are not awesome episodes of Breaking Bad, right?
Yes.
Few.
There aren't very many, but there are some.
Yeah, like every great television show ever has had the occasional clunker.
Well, I mean, when you have to spread things out over so much time, or if you're making adaptive choices based on a book or something, there are always going to be certain times or certain episodes that just aren't going to be the same.
Yeah, and we're grading on a very particular scale here, right? Because
it lists to the left.
Just slightly. It's an imperfect sundial.
Just a little. Just enough. Just enough. Ladies, maybe, woman's secret. Hashtag woman's secret.
Just the tip?
Ooh, that seems weird, though.
Dun, 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 dun. Bing, bing. Anyway, Outlander is great all the time. Every episode of Outlander is good. A bad episode of Outlander is still way better than the best episode of a bunch of really shitty TV shows, right? But if you're out there, if you're listening, if it's 2 years in the future and we've hit it big and you're going back and listening to the archives, please just remember that we love this show. We just don't necessarily love this episode. Or for me, at least, I don't know about your opinion, Julie, I love half of this episode and don't give one wet fart about the rest of it.
There are things about the wet fart part that I think are hilarious that I wrote many quality jokes about.
Irish jokes?
Oh, you're going to get there.
I can't wait.
But the call the midwife half is how I'm going to refer to the part that I like.
That's great.
I love.
Yeah, it's great. And book knowledge. If you're one of the people who's watching the show but doesn't want to be spoiled about the books because you want to read them or you don't want to know about the books, whatever, just don't listen for the next 30 seconds. Interestingly...
Just kidding. That's what should be happening in your head.
Just imagine that I'm going, me, my period, me. I hate sports, me. The baby half, the call the midwife half, is mostly faithful to the book.
Okay.
Honestly, very faithful to the book. The other half is completely made up.
I got a little bit of that.
He still gets captured.
Right.
But it's because, they just think they obviously needed to fill, and I think maybe just filled in the wrong way, because I would be way more interested in an episode that was just Claire and Jenny dealing with Jenny having a baby, and they could have found a way to fill with those two women and the trauma of a potentially fatal birth and all of that stuff, to new sister-in-laws who are mistrustful of each other getting to know each other and setting up all the great stuff
in the most womanly way possible,
right? It's just it's so good. It's just amazing. And the other half, all that happens in the book is that, remember old Rabbi McNabb?
Yeah.
Old bruise back Rabbi McNabb.
Old asshole.
No, Rabbi's the kid.
Oh, the little boy.
His dad.
Oh, yeah. So the asshole informs.
Yes. Informs. And that's it.
Okay. Well, I mean, that makes sense, because...
And then it gets captured.
We didn't actually talk about it in the last episode because I led you astray, but you're right, Jamie does beat him up, right?
Yeah, and then it says, well, if the Laird thinks he can raise my kid better than I can. It's like an internet comment section, only with real consequences.
Yeah. So this episode, this is season 1, episode 13, The Watch. Have we said hi yet?
Oh, hi, I'm Allison.
Hi, I'm Julie.
And that's Jean.
Hi, sorry.
Hey, you guys. We're just thinking about how we're going to have to let you down a little bit, but with really good jokes.
We'll never let you down.
I've got some really good jokes.
We're never gonna let you go.
I don't, but I've got some really... Thanks. Thanks, Janine.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, you were with me. This is going to go back to when we originally conceived of the podcast, what I had in my head was that Julie would be the funny one and I would be the TV critic, right? And that's how it would work. Only as it turns out, Julie is a great TV critic and I'm occasionally funny. So it turned into, no, you really are. You just think you're underestimating yourself, girl. It's time to tweet storm Julie. # shut up about yourself.
I got jokes, baby.
Anyway, realized that it was less relegated to two camps because
it wasn't my favorite
Julie
episode.
is funny and I am funny, and Julie is smart and I'm smart, and Janine is both funny and smart, so it's just all around a fun thing. This is one where I think this might actually be true. You can be funny about it, and I'm going to talk about why it's not a great episode, but we both can, right? That's I'm not sure I have that many jokes, although I do have plenty of Irish jokes.
It's just
and I've got jokes about how when you give birth to a baby, you poop yourself.
Well, those jokes are there for the taking.
I'm looking forward to this.
Yes.
So basically,
she doesn't. That never happens on television.
This episode, as Allison has already said, is kind of a weird filler episode.
Before we do that, what are we drinking, Julie?
Oh, today we are drinking the Singularity Stout. Oatmeal Stout from Empirical Brewery here in Chicago, exploring the science of beer. Thank you guys for your support. You're the best. Let's drink more.
Yes. Okay. All right. So
we open up with the little button,
watch.
A watch. I couldn't tell because I had no book knowledge of this. I couldn't tell if it was a watch or a compass, whatever. It's open. It's got a little hinge thing, and it's in the peat. It's just kind of half buried in
nice
some dirt.
Use of peat.
Well, see how I said dirt, and then I was like, peat.
That's nice.
Peat's a better word.
Yeah.
So there's something with a watch or a compass. Bing. but we can't actually see what makes this watch and or compass unique in that shot, which I thought was kind of a wasted opportunity. A lot of this episode is wasted opportunity. So these guys back up on the cliffhanger. These dudes are in the living room pointing guns at Jamie. Jenny walks in all preggers and she's like, oh, hello. Oh, no. That's my cousin, Jamie McTavish. So she like straight up pulls it out of her like, so that they don't know who he is. They don't know that he's the actual Laird, whatever.
Well, because they know the Laird of Lallybroch has a price on his head.
Right, and wanted. Right.
And the watch, me, historical nerd, the watch, and they talk about this a little in the show, was like, and they do it earlier.
They were like
in
a
the show
mob.
Too. They were like halfway between a police force and a gang of hooligans, which
is the mob.
Right? So they roam the countryside and like sometimes provide protection and sometimes just show up and take all your food. And it's no relation to Blackwatch, one of the best plays I've ever seen in my life, because when the first time I watched this episode, I was like, ooh, the watch. Is this going to be like Blackwatch? Am I going to get to learn the ins and outs of the Scottish military? This is going to be so great. And then
Nope.
If you ever get to see Blackwatch, it's touring the world probably for the rest of time. Go see Blackwatch by the National Theatre of Scotland. It's fucking incredible. Anyway.
So we find out that their leader, who's the one that's got the pistol pointed directly at Jamie's beautiful face.
Nice head of hair on that guy.
Is named... I have 3 things written down here because I could never truly understand what his name was. Towel McQuarrie. I, from here on out, will refer to him as Towel because that's what I did in my notes.
Yeah.
Towel. And then I have McCroy. So Towel, whatever. Towel is obviously the boss of this group
and
of the watch.
He's looking a little damp. He's looking like somebody dropped him on the bathroom floor and forgot to pick him up.
He is a little moldy. And we find out that the watch has been dropping in, quote unquote, on Lallybroch for a long time, and that Ian and Jenny have been kind of under their thumb a little bit because they had no other real means of protection. So Jenny and Ian are like, fine, have some food, drink our Rhenish, it's great. And Jamie with his big wang is like, no. And so there's a conflict set up here.
And a couple of very uncomfortable meals.
Yeah, between Jamie and his family. But then finally, it comes down to the fact that they didn't really have a choice. Obviously, Ian is no dummy, but he's also doesn't have a leg. So there are certain things that he cannot do. Jenny has probably spent most of her life since she met him pregnant. And Jamie's been gone the whole time. So they kind of required a little bit of assistance with the British Army or whatever was roaming the countryside.
With other Klansmen, right? Like,
Yeah.
remember the episode where people almost die just because a roving band of Scotsmen decide to take some cows?
Yes.
Remember that?
Yeah.
That happens. It's talked about in the book all the time. People are just like, feel like stealing some cattle tonight. Derpy-dur.
And so Towel is all like, I remember the last time you made that rabbit stew. And Jenny's like, sweet. And so she goes to the kitchen to make them food. And this is where Jamie's like, what the fuck? And she's like, hey, just fucking shut up. Here's what's happening. Breaks it all down for him. And while she's cooking, guess who's cooking with her? Ian. Mm-hmm. They know how to work a kitchen together. And I found that very romantic.
Well, you would, Julie.
Mm-hmm. I'm just saying, I know what it means to work a kitchen with another person. And this intimates a level of understanding and intimacy that is very telling. And also the fact that Ian would be in a kitchen at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're down there making some kind of soup or whatever and breaking it all down for Jamie. So every couple of months for about 2 years, the watch has been doing this. They've been dropping in, eating all the food, drinking all the booze, and in general being loudish dickholes. Great. It's like, you know, when
nobody
your
comes
uncle
to steal their stuff.
Yeah, when your Uncle Charlie comes to town, it's like that.
Yeah.
And then I have this long gap, a little bit of a gap in my notes, but then we're reminded that this stressful situation is happening, and all of a sudden Jenny, oh right, she's pregnant. Like, she has a big kick, and she's like, oh God. She's trying to cook the meal, and she, like, loses it for a second.
Yeah, she's obviously dealing with complications of pregnancy throughout. Like, keeping it together, she's working right up until the end.
Yeah.
There's no maternity leave when you're running a household and taking care of everybody.
Right.
Right? So, she's spending a lot of time on her feet. Claire is trying to find ways to help. They're obviously getting along a little better. Maybe not a ton better, but a little better. And Jamie's like, well, I've got to go, I don't know, make hay while the sun shines. He literally goes to make hay and the sun is shining. So whatever. Anyway, he ends up, with a pitchfork throwing stuff around. Right. And as he's doing this, all the other watch dudes are like, derp, 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 we're bored. Let's pick on this guy who could obviously kick all of our ass.
Oh, wait, no, that comes later.
Oh, what'd I skip?
Yeah, that comes later. So they're in there just talking shitty shit about how you put out the bad whiskey for us and like all this kind of bullshit. And then all of a sudden you realize that he's okay with Towel. Ian is cool with Towel because every time Towel has come, Ian has got to sit down and drink whiskey and talk to another man about fighting in a war. And Towel never really pities Ian.
Towel is like he's the least bastardy of the bastards.
Yes, he's the lead bastard of a group of just shitty people. But so Ian is kind of like, I'm all right with Towel.
Yeah.
Towel and I kind of get along. And then they have some war talk, and you can tell that Towel is starting to pick up some there's something going on with this redhead.
He's an ENFJ. I don't fucking know. I never remember those.
This is Myers-Briggs.
Yes, he's intuitive.
Yeah.
Towel is absorbing a little something.
He's highly absorbent.
He is absorbing something. And they're eating dinner. This is the first of the most awkward meals. And then one of the assholes, I'm going to call him halitosis. Because whenever you see his mouth, it's just a crime scene. And he puts his feet up on the table like, boom, boom. And Towel looks at his feet and knocks them off the table. We're already assholes to begin with. Don't push it. Halitosis. And so they have this horrible dinner where this is where Towel is trying to figure shit out about Jamie. And this is where we find out that they're staying a few days and that something big is coming up.
Yeah, and we don't know what it is.
We don't know what it is, but
we in the literary business call this foreshadowing.
Oh God, it's horrible. So he does say that they've been out on the road for a long time and that their horses need reshoeing. Ian, take care of it. And Jamie's like, you know what? I'll do it. Horses are kind of my thing, which we know.
Yeah.
So then it goes to him reshoeing the horses.
Right.
And halitosis is straight up smoking all of Ian's great tobacco. He's got a little pipe, and Jamie says something snarky to him about, oh, I see you've got Ian's great tobacco. And he walks past, and halitosis just turns around and empties his lit pipe into a hay wagon.
Shit. I must say that I've just realized what Jamie and Claire have in common besides being really hot and loving to fuck.
Mm-hmm.
They just don't know when to shut up.
No, they don't. Jamie is better at it in high pressure situations.
No, in high pressure situations that don't in some way confront his ideas about his own masculinity.
No, of course, but this one was not that.
Yeah.
This one he thought he was in control.
With politics and having to navigate them to stay safe. This is Jamie's still got his back up about whether or not he deserves the big bedroom.
Yes. It's true. It's true.
So
do I deserve the blue pod?
So he knows that what he's doing is dangerous. He knows that these people, if they figure out who he is, will fucking sell him to the British. And he just can't. He can't keep his mouth shut. Not unlike his lovely lady wife. So he does a much better job of keeping her mouth shut in this episode than he does.
That's true. And I think
because they kept her away from the whiskey.
I think it's because she was busy tending to the other lady most of the time.
But before then. before then.
Well, also that was, I think maybe Jenny in general has been kind of a calming influence on Claire, specifically speaking when she literally told her to shut up because if they heard that she was British, it was going to be bad news.
Yes.
But these guys know she's British and have kind of like, don't care. They're Ronin. They don't give a shit. They're just trying to get paid.
Yeah.
So Jamie starts reshoeing this horse. Halitosis has thrown his lit pipe into a full wagon full of dry hay. Guess what happens?
The pyrotechnics budget happens.
Hey.
Hey! On fire! And then all of a sudden Jamie's like, this hay is on fire! This hay is on fire! And so Jamie's like, holy shit, he's trying to help this horse get all this bullshit out from his hoof. And then he looks up, everything's on fire. He's calling all of the stable hands to help him, like, dump water on it. And then the watch is over there laughing.
Yucking it up.
Just yucking it up, chumps. But guess who's not there? Towel. Towel is not there when this happens.
But then he shows up.
Oh, Towel shows up and Towel is pissed. But this is also after Jamie had to assert his manhood by fighting 3 of them. This is what happens, right? They come at him, bro, and he can't handle it anymore, and he fucking fights the shit out of him. And like has one of them, he gets the gun from him and has it right at his head.
And is there a pitchfork involved? There is.
No.
There must be.
No.
I have it burnt.
It's right there. It should be.
I mean, it was
I have
there
it in my head.
It's not in there.
See, I just.
No. He fights the guys hand to hand and
sweet,
he gets
sweet fantasy baby.
he gets one of the pistol from him and I can't remember if he's pointing at Halitosis or pointing it at Bad Choices Billy Connolly, which is the other one.
Oh my god, that beer just almost went right.
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure he's pointing it at Halitosis. And then Tal comes around the corner as this fight is happening and is like, oh, what a strapping young redhead. I could really use him in my band of brigands.
Yeah.
And then he goes up to him and he's like, I've got a lot of guys, but I don't have a lot of warriors. You know what I'm saying? You want to come be a warrior with me? And Jamie's like, meh.
He basically walks up and goes, excuse me. Game recognized game.
Yes, that is exactly what he does. Because Tal has chosen this life, but Tal is good at this life.
He's good at it.
Halitosis and Bad Choices Billy Connolly are bad at it.
Halitosis. Is this guy Horrocks? Is that his actual
No,
name?
No, we're getting to Horrocks.
Horrocks comes up
Pardon
later.
me.
Horror rocks.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Horrocks comes up later.
Okay, when we get there.
We're getting there.
Yeah.
So the thing about Towel is that he's basically the Dougal. Mm-hmm. And Halitosis and Bad Choices Billy Connolly are like season 1 Angus and Rupert.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Like they're the like hooligans.
They're the rude mechanicals.
Yes, whereas Towel is the Dougal. And Dougal, as we've established, is a really fuckable idiot. And Towel is not an idiot, nor is he particularly fuckable.
No.
But
Very smart.
But they're both obviously capable leaders who are not necessarily just assholes. They're assholes, but they're not necessarily just assholes. And it's obvious that it is important to Towel that while they're taking advantage of this family, and he knows it, but they're also treating them with some respect.
So he freaks out on his guys.
Yes.
Right before he asks Jamie. He's like, fuck you. We've been here taking their food. Just chill the fuck out. And then he goes to Jamie and he's like,
will you be in my babysitter's club?
can you be in my babysitter's club? Because seriously, you could sit some babies.
Yes.
Let's do this. And Jamie's like, meh. And then we come back to the house and somebody has arrived.
The something big has arrived. And
Something
it is
big.
Horrocks.
Oh,
And my note is, oh shit, Bono.
so what's I find funny about this, because I looked him up because I was trying to figure out who Halitosis it's Lachlan O'Marion.
Is which character?
Is Horrocks. But in IMDb, how he's titled is Horrocks as Lachlan O'Marion, which is like the most ridiculous. It's like for some reason he like specified that this character is himself.
So I don't know what the names of these two thugs are. I don't know that they're ever
matter.
said. You
Yeah.
could, if you looked up the episode, you might be able to find them. But truly, it's halitosis and bad choices, Billy Connolly.
Yeah, we don't care so much
I don't
about
care about
them.
that.
If
Horrocks
we
is mine,
if
yeah.
we can figure
Horrocks
out
is coming up. So
Towel.
Laughlin, find out Towel.
Towel. If you can figure out Towel, he'll be
Douglas Heschel.
Heschel.
And what's the character's actual name?
Taran. Taran.
Towel is better.
Towel is better.
But again, his real name.
Douglas Henschel.
Very good. He does a really good job.
He does a great job.
Horrocks shows up. Diddle, diddle, diddle. For those who don't remember, Horrocks, as he was described by the guy whose name I can't remember.
Hugh Monroe.
Human Row.
Human
where
eggs.
where
Under the water, where we give birth to human fish.
so where if you remember when Hugh Monroe tells Jamie that he has found somebody who can confirm that he didn't murder this dude he's accused of murdering, and definitely does not communicate his name by pointing at Claire and then pointing at a rock, but in my head he points at Claire and then points to rock. Horrocks. Instead, he just points at the rock. Anyway, so if you remember, roundabout when wee Willie was taking a dump while Claire was running to the Dick Rocks, Jamie and his merry men were meeting Horrocks, a British deserter, to find out who the person that really killed this dude is so that he can find a way to get pardoned. And Horrocks says, oh, well, the person who killed that dude was Blackjack Randall himself, which means his information is totally useless. They've handed over a bunch of money for something they can't use because they can't say, hey, the person accusing me of the murder is actually the murderer when that person is also a British officer. Mm-hmm. So, is that guy who shows up at Lallybroch.
We made a lot of jokes previously about being Bono because he's Irish.
He is Irish.
So buckle up because there's going to be several.
The ting about Horrocks is that he's a D-bag.
He is a super D-bag. So he gets off his horse, turns around, Tal sees him, and Tal, who is very socially absorbent, notices that Bono gives Jamie like this look, like they know each other.
Like maybe Jamie is after his Lucky Charms.
Yeah. And Towel is like, you know each other? And Bono is like, I'm not going to use this to my advantage yet because I got to figure it out first. I'm not sure how these people are related. He goes, no, all these Scots look the same to me. And it's like, not this Scot, asshole. This Scot. There are very few of these. Okay, fine. So now we know Bono is in the mix.
Because he thinks, oh, that Scott who looks like he's come from Asgard?
Yeah.
Nerd reference.
There aren't very many 6'5"
Greek gods.
fucking incredibly hot. Like there are maybe 3 in Scotland. This is one of them. Right?
Yeah, I mean, I could see like if you saw the perfection that is Murtaugh. Can we at some point we have to talk about that Venn diagram?
Oh,
that
yeah.
somebody shared
Oh, yeah.
on the Facebook page because it's the most beautiful thing. Mm-hmm. Anyway, there's just no way. Of course, you recognize.
No, this
Jamie.
would be like walking face first into George Clooney. It's like
No, not
boom.
even George Clooney. It's like walking face first into like
Brad Pitt.
no Iman.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, like one of the
Brad
top
Pitt is
0.1% of the genetic lottery.
Who also maybe is so good looking that it's not quite human. Like even Brad Pitt at his hottest didn't look like he couldn't exist. Every once in a while, Sam Heughan looks like he couldn't exist.
Yeah.
Right? And Iman is the same way.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Or like peak Tyra.
Yeah.
RuPaul walking face first into RuPaul.
And being like, whoa.
whoa.
So it's very
Of course
clear.
he recognizes
It's very
him.
clear that Bono is about to take this advantage however he can figure it.
He's got some sort of plan. So then Jamie has to be like, so here's the deal. This guy blah, 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 and has to download up burr plumbing to Ian and to Jenny and explain to everybody what the deal is. Mm-hmm. And it complicates matters a lot for everybody, especially Ian.
Oh yeah.
Who gets the short end of the stick not the one that's attached to his leg, just any stick. In this episode.
So Horrocks is actually there to meet with the Watch because he has some intel about a rent party that is supposed to come nearby that they can basically stagecoach rob.
They can take all of the money and all of the grain and all of the wine and leave the fine fat pigs.
Yeah. So basically Horrocks is coming with...
Oh, cameo.
Hey, Sophie.
Cameo.
Come here. So... Yeah. Horrocks is coming with information about a rent party that they can steal. She's right. So that's what the Watch is there for, is to just make money. We've already seen them do this. We saw them burn that village and take everything earlier. So that's why he's there. And then the next note I have is Jenny talking about bairns.
We'll get to the beings. You know what? This might be easier to just finish talking about the stupid Watch storyline and then talk about the shit we care about.
Let's do it.
All right. So Jamie eventually finds Horrocks to have a confrontation.
I agree with you, but I have to just say this. I'm sure everybody is aware of this. This bullshit cuts back and forth between both stories for the rest of the episode, and it's crap.
Yeah, it really...
Fine.
Okay.
So let's finish the Watch shit, which we don't care about.
Yeah,
I agree.
It'll make more sense to talk about that all in one. So eventually Jamie finds down Horrocks and he says, I thought you were going to find me to talk to me about the four-leaf clover I found on my way to you.
Oh, gosh.
And I'm allowed to do this. I'm Irish.
I
say that the way that Americans do. Where, like, way back, people in my family were Irish. But whatever, I'm a fucking Mackenzie. I'm the only one at the table who's a goddamn Mackenzie.
That's
so
true.
I'm allowed.
So Bono wants money. Doy. Bono gets Jamie alone and is like, I'm thinking about going to America.
I want to go to Boston.
I'd like to go to Boston. Of course you would, you fucking asshole. I need some money for passage. And Jamie's like, okay.
Once he gets to Boston, he will fuck a lot of women. A choice that will eventually lead to the creation of Ben Affleck.
Exactly. This guy is walking Southie.
Yeah.
So...
How do you like them apples?
Yeah.
Oh, man. So good.
So Jamie's like, oh, crap. And he talks to Ian about it, and Ian's like, you need to take your mom's money. You need to take your mother's money and do this.
Interesting book fact. This is not the last time that Jamie will have to have a conversation with Ian about how shit is going down, and Ian will have to talk him into taking money to make it go away. This will happen again. But
well,
Ian's like, take the
Jamie
money.
is a Scotsman. It's hard to part with money. Hard. So he is like, oh,
Whereas
God.
Ian lost the miserly part of himself
And
because
realizes,
it was contained in his left foot.
but also realizes that life is precious and who gives a shit. If you have the money, just spend
and
it.
here I was making an amputee joke and you had real analysis. God damn. Anyway.
So Ian's like, dude, take your mother's money that's supposed to be to set up your household, specifically for when your wife gets a child. We can set up a nice thing for our family and our kids and stuff. And Jamie's like, oh, I don't want to touch that money. I don't want to touch that money.
No, touch the fucking money.
And then he
take the money.
he decides finally
So many
that
songs.
after a conversation with Claire, that's where the two things cross. Should we talk about the conversation in this part?
Yes.
Okay. So he at one point reveals to Claire what's happening, and Claire is like, pay the man. Well, first she's like, I don't know if I can have kids. So Sophie,
Cameo.
get out of here. So I don't even know if I can have children. When I was in my own time, I had been trying for a long time and it was never happening.
This is a thing that we learn about Claire's relationship with Frank. So I think that's fair because it's still separate from Jenny. It won't surprise you that this conversation is spurred by Jenny and her knowledge of her own body and the fact that she's pregnant and blah, blah, blah. But I think this is the first time we have it confirmed in season 1 that Claire and Frank were having trouble having children.
Yes.
Because we know in the first episode, there's a joke about how you'll never grow your family tree with that attitude because they're not fucking at the moment, right? Like, it's like a fuck-free zone. And she's like,
just walk down the street
"Ooh, mister, you've got to put it in me." Like, I don't know. Something happens. I think that's the exact quote. "Ooh,
mister.
You've got to put it in me."
So
Please, sir, can I have some more?
So Claire is breaking down a little bit about how she might be infertile, but I'm all like, Frank, swimmers
And also
aren't that strong a swimmer.
apologizing
Yeah.
for not mentioning that she might not be able to give him kids when they got married, which is understandable because when they got married, she didn't think it was going to be permanent. She was planning on getting the hell out of Dodge and heading for those dick racks.
Right. So she
Instead,
has a
she
very
headed for the dick.
emotional moment, but then Jamie is really cool about it.
Yeah, it's like he got all of the dick. The douchebag. I'm talking about dick so much right now. He got all of the douchebag out of his system, throwing a fit about water wheels and rents and big bedrooms and whether or not he could fight 3 watch people with what and the good tobacco. He got all that out of his system just so he could be an understanding and compassionate partner.
He was very understanding.
And he says, I really love this. Basically says, well, maybe it's not the worst thing. So much can go wrong, and I wouldn't want you to die, which is nice because I think...
Because actually upstairs at that moment, which we'll wrap back around to, his sister is in a very, precarious place. But...
Which he doesn't know because they keep that.
Right, because Claire's keeping the hashtag woman secret. So Claire...
Says pay the man.
Yeah, Claire's like, fuck it, just take the money. So Jamie bags up his little Lucky Charms in the tiny little pouch, and he's going to go out and charm a fucking leprechaun in the forest. And he walks out. He walks out into the woods, and it's hilarious because it's like he's on the ground, but then there's this little hill right above him that's all like trees and shit, and he hears the panpipes or whatever Irish people play, the tin whistle. And
then on the air he catches a scent. Oh gosh, that smells like Guinness and potatoes. What is
Irish
that?
Spring.
It smells like Guinness and potatoes.
And he looks up, and there's...
Do you smell corned beef and cabbage?
I smell...
Do you smell the sound of half the population of people in their 20s throwing up on the same day in the middle of
know
March?
what I smell? You know what I smell?
That is American.
You know what I smell? You know what I smell?
What?
Misguided dependence on one crop.
Oh,
That's what I smell.
You know what I smell? One love.
Oh, that's
One
coming.
life.
That is coming. Okay. Bono is up there. There he is.
God, I forgot that we made all those Bono
Oh
jokes.
yeah. No, I've got some more.
Okay.
So Bono is all like, Jamie throws the money up towards the leprechaun, and the leprechaun magically catches it and is like, oh yeah, this is gonna be enough to get me to Boston, but what about when I get there? I want to set up a shop. I want to do this. I'm like, bitch, you want to run a bar. Hashtag Irish.
Yeah, but you know what? Where would we be without the Irish bars on this fertile American soil of ours?
You know what? You're right.
And in the coming years, we're going to need them more than ever. I don't think we should hate on them.
No, you're right. We shouldn't hate on a bar.
No, we shouldn't. We shouldn't hate on an Irish bar.
We should just hate on this guy.
We'll just hate this guy.
So he's like, I'm going to need a little bit more to set everything up. So basically, he's trying to set up a complete blackmail situation where, like, Jamie sends him payments all the time. And what does he say?
That, by the way, is also foreshadowing for much later in the series. Mm-hmm. Completely different. Anyway, we'll get there.
All right. Oh, we do need to know this. Jamie has a gun in the back of his pants. He did take a gun with him to this meeting just to be safe. So, like, he knows that Horrocks is dangerous.
He did take a gun to what may or may not be a knife fight.
A knife fight. Oh, it's a knife fight. And then Bono gets
you know
greedy.
what? He can't win with or without it.
So Jamie's like, I think you've had a little bit too much to drink if you're going to try to ask me for this much money. And this is Bono's actual quote. An Irishman is never drunk. Like, tell that to my grandma.
But you know what? It's just because he's empty inside.
It is.
He's just empty inside. He hasn't had enough potatoes, and he still hasn't found what he's looking for.
And he says something like, Jamie's like, well, where will it ever stop? Like, whatever. And he said, well, I wouldn't want anything bad to happen to you or your kith and kin. Specifically referring to his sister, because Bono has already made some lascivious remarks about Jenny. So we know that Jenny is definitely Jamie's weak spot. Jamie's like, what am I going to do? I'm going to have to give him money forever. And then all of a sudden, fucking knife comes through Bono's heart from the back.
Oh, shit.
Shoo! And I was like, in that moment, which one was best? I had several jokes written,
Okay. I have one too.
but I think the best one is Achtung, baby!
Mine was that it moved in mysterious ways.
I also had knife. She wore lemon. And then he falls down. I also had knife. Two hearts beat as one. I had several. So Bono dies. Guess who was behind the knife? Larry McMullen. No, just kidding. Just kidding. That was the drummer for U2. It was Ian.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, fucking Ian snuck up behind him.
What day of the week do you think this was?
I'm going to say it was a bloody, bloody Sunday. Sunday, bloody Sunday. So Ian snuck up behind him, which must be...
I would also have accepted that it was a
beautiful day.
Yeah.
I can close the list of U2 songs I pulled up now.
Ian snuck up behind him, which must be very difficult when you have a peg leg in the forest. I just want to say that. So this is like some special forces bullshit. This is like some seal like crawling on the ground, only when the wind is blowing, shit. And then boom, kills the guy. And then he has this Bono, bye. I didn't mean to bug ya. He falls down and hits the ground right in front of Jamie. And Jamie looks up and he's about to draw his gun. It's Ian. And then they realize, oh, we got to bury this guy. But Ian has a moment where he remembers what it was like to kill people, and it's not good. Like, I think that maybe Ian had been far enough away from his military service to kind of forget. See, it's not easy, is it?
Yeah.
That was Janine.
That was not
We
me.
had a long conversation between episodes about Julie's
wasn't
pouring
that long?
skills. No, it felt long.
But then I'm usually
That's what she said.
I'm usually the one saying, guys, we could always, mic noises. Let's make me quieter. Producer notes. And then I fucking bounce the bottle on the table.
It's great. It's authentic. It's our thing. I want you to know that we're not one of those shows that goes through and edits out all of our gross mouth sounds.
No, because
I went to a podcast. I went to a bunch of podcasting panels at a conference I was at in October. And it was all mouth sounds. Make sure you get out all your mouth sounds. They were showing audio files where it was like a million edits per episode. And don't get me wrong, Janine makes us sound good, but it's not like that. You get all of our meh, duh, and you get all of our...
Because why would we not?
We want you to feel like you're here with us.
Yes.
I think we succeed in that.
I think it's pretty good.
The number of you who are willing to have a beer with us, I take as a great.
Pretty high.
It makes me really happy. Anyway,
Okay. So Ian kills Bono.
pushes the button on his wooden leg that makes a shovel come out of it.
Well, but wait, we have the moment where he has the
That
freak out.
doesn't really happen, by the way.
He has a little PTSD about killing people, and then Jamie kind of weirdly, softly talks him out of it.
Yeah.
Like, you did the right thing.
The show does a great job with PTSD in general. Mm-hmm. Anyway.
And then they realize they have to bury the Irishman. Don't bury him in any fields you want anything to grow in. I'm just saying. So, specifically potatoes. I know you're doing potatoes now.
If you
It's because he's
bury
so
him
salty.
under the roots of a tree, in 3 years' time, gold coins will fall from it.
If you bury him under the root of your grapevines, all of your wine will taste extra sweet.
If you bury him in a ditch, that'll be par for the course. I love the Irish.
That's where they are.
I don't know why I'm doing this.
Because that's where
I
people.
love the Irish.
It's a fucking.
Drove that joke into a ditch. Here we go.
Yeah.
Here's the ting.
So Horrocks is out.
Oh, goodness.
Jamie got his money back, but now we're gonna have to explain why Horrocks doesn't exist anymore. Jamie goes back to the house.
I want to say I vote for. What are you talking about? There was never anybody named Horrocks here.
What?
What?
Until you think Tal has driven himself crazy, thinking that he imagined some kind of magical leprechaun.
I want to gaslight the fuck out of Towel.
So Jamie goes back, and there's a breakfast scene where it's Ian and Jamie and Towel.
And it's second breakfast.
Yeah. So Towel is all like, "Where's the Irishman?" I can't find Bono. It's usually really easy to find him. He's very loud.
All you have to do is follow the rainbow to its end.
And Jamie is fucking cold ass in this scene. He is straight up cold, straight up what? I don't know. I'm buttering my bannock. I'm cool. Ian, not so much. Ian is a little shaky and a little bit like can't pick up his fork and shit. And then finally, Jamie just looks at Tal and is like, I killed him. He knew I had a price on my head, so I killed him. And there's this moment where you see Tal like look at Jamie, take a full measure of him, and go, good. Somebody should have killed that guy. He was the worst. And Ian is like, oh God, I need to change my underwear.
There's nothing under there.
Yeah, there's no right.
You're right. I need to change my kill.
I need to clean off this chair.
Yeah. Ooh.
I need some junk oil. Sophie. I am discovering the more we talk about this episode, the more I like it.
Well, that's because we're being assholes about it.
I know, but still, those are all good scenes.
And we haven't really even gotten
Yeah,
to
we
that.
got to get to the
No, we got to get there. Okay, so fine. They go out to get the rent party. Jamie goes with them.
And pause. Right? Till the end of the episode.
Oh,
Yeah.
Like real pause?
No.
I almost did it.
No.
You threw off
You're
your vibe.
very responsive. I
really like it. You are listening.
I promise I will go, pause. Yeah, no, we're pausing this part of the conversation.
Okay.
So, meanwhile, back in the woman's world.
So Jenny's been having pains. She says it's kicking like a donkey. All of a sudden, boosh, we see the water hit the ground.
She's also convinced that it's a boy.
We see the water hit the ground. We see the water hit the ground, and everybody knows what that means. Her water's broken. It's time. Guess what? It's not always time. So we flash to Jenny in the bedroom with Claire. And Jenny seems pretty calm right now. Like it's not a big deal.
Well, because she knows
It's new.
it's a part of life. She's done it before.
It's fine. And Claire's like,
Also, once you've been, I don't know, experienced the amount of trauma this woman has experienced in her life, giving birth must seem like no big deal.
so they're hanging out.
I should also mention that Jamie's mother died in childbirth.
Yes, with the child that would have been born after Jamie.
Yes.
Okay.
Meow.
Or did she die in childbirth with Jamie?
No.
So she was alive when Jamie was alive.
Yes.
Okay. Jenny's calm as hell, and then Claire's like, oh, she starts kind of feeling her belly, and she's like, this baby is in the wrong position. This baby is breech. And of course, Jenny doesn't know what the fuck that means. And Claire's like, normally babies come out head first. This one is facing the wrong way. This is foot first. And Jenny goes, oh, you mean a footling? And I'm like, oh God. Have you ever seen a picture of this shit? When our friend Casey Cunningham was about to give birth to her first baby, she did this weird masochistic thing to herself where she would go look up images of
Things gone wrong.
things gone wrong.
Oh, no.
And there are things with like 1 foot out. Can you imagine how that's a problem?
I can't, actually.
Yeah,
Yeah,
see?
that's actually...
1 foot. Not both feet, just 1 foot.
You know-
how you gonna get it?
Do you know the image that actually got in my head suddenly? Was a water park gone wrong for me.
Oh, boy.
But worse.
Yeah.
Worse. So Jenny's like, yeah, no problem. Okay, whatever. And Claire's like, oh, it's kind of a problem. It's kind of a problem. I don't have these things here. And what we don't know now is that they've already sent for the midwife. They've already called the midwife.
Another recommendation, listeners.
Please go watch it. And we don't find that out yet because this is still too early. But then we flash back to the guys and then we come back to them, and Jenny is pacing around the room. You can tell she's uncomfortable. She's just kind of like letting it out, but she's not screaming or anything yet. She's just kind of like, meh. And Claire asks her what it's like to be pregnant. And this is how Jenny breaks down being pregnant. First, you're farting a lot. Secondly, it feels like a fish on the line inside of you.
Oh, my God.
And thirdly, it feels like fucking. That's exactly what she says.
There's a lot of confusing images in that. For me.
I
Well,
thought that was how it feels like giving birth.
the fucking is the giving birth. It's like when you take a man deep inside you and like that kind of shit. The fish on the line is when babies are kicking or like you can feel them moving around inside you. Like that's what that feels like. And I'm like, all of it feels like alien to me. But whatever. Jenny Murray's a pro.
What it feels like to me is me figuring out whether or not I should go buy lots of Plan B before January 20th.
Man, my robot good till 2022.
Really? Mine isn't.
Cool. So it ends with her saying, that's what they want, you know. They all want to come back. They'll want to come back to the womb. Like, no.
Ooh, interesting. Weird.
I mean, probably primally. It's the way.
I don't know.
That's
Whatever.
probably
They just
why
want to
we're
get their
designed
dick
that
wet.
way.
They want to get their dick wet.
Yeah, they want to get their dick wet inside the hole.
Are you too good for your home? Why don't you just go home?
Oh, I can't believe the first Adam Sandler joke that we've made on this podcast was made by
No.
Julie.
We've done O'Doyle rules.
Have we?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Because you know what? Speaking of
Because
Irishmen.
O'Doyle rules. O'Doyle rules.
Speaking of Irishmen.
So, then this is when we find out. The maid runs in and she's like, tried to call the midwife. Busy signal. But the midwife is somewhere else
Out.
helping somebody.
Yeah.
And Claire's like, I've got you. And Jenny's like,
There's this great
Okay.
moment where you can see that they're both like, me and you, bitch. Me and you.
we're doing this.
We're doing this.
We're doing it.
And oh God, is this where they talk about how she's gonna need to turn the baby inside her?
She's like, she lays her down and she's like, okay, let me check this out. And she's like, okay, so your baby's coming out the wrong way. I'm going to have to palpate, which is when she tries to do it from the outside.
which is incredibly painful.
And tries to like turn the baby around from the outside and it doesn't work. And then she's like, okay, so what's going to happen is when you go into delivery, I'm going to have to reach inside you and try to turn the baby around. I need you guys to understand, I have never given birth and will never give birth.
This is Julian, not Claire, by the way.
This is me. The only thing that has passed through my cervix is an IUD, and I had a rough time with it. I cannot fathom what it would be like to pass a human through that thing. So thinking about somebody actually putting their hands inside of you to turn something around,
Then to like turn something, imagine somebody reaching inside you and rotating your stomach. Mm-hmm. Go, I just feel kind of sick thinking about it. Mm-hmm. It's a great fucking scene.
Yeah. So then we flash back to the dudes, and then next we come back, and by this point,
Plumbing.
yeah, plumbing. Speaking of plumbing, Jenny is sweaty. She's mad now. She's kind of pacing. She's kind of going through some shit. This has been a long time since her water broke, by the way. This has been at least 8 hours since her water broke.
Oh, a long time, yeah.
Typically, when I think about somebody's water breaking, it's like it's happening right now. But I wonder if it's because it was breech that this is why it's
Well,
taking
some
so long.
pregnancies just take a really long, or births take a really long time.
So this is when there's the scene where Claire goes to talk to Jamie that we talked about, and my note was Jenny ?
Did we skip he'll come into the world a true Scot? Have we gotten there yet? Yeah, because the hands. She says, well, if you're going to do that, you're going to need to give me a dram.
Yeah, I'm gonna need to be drunk.
Yeah, you're going to need to give me a big drink. And she says, okay, Jess, you know that means the baby's going to come out drunk too. And she says, well, then he'll come to the world a true Scot.
And as Allison already mentioned, Jenny is fully convinced this is a little boy. So, boom. Hold on. Because my notes are all split.
Yeah, Julie, you're the master.
Yes. So this is when she's pacing and she's really like freaked out. She's like, oh God, my fingers are swelling. Take my wedding ring. Put it in my jewelry box. Claire goes to put it in and finds this little wooden snake. And we find out that this snake was carved by Willie, who was Jamie's older brother who died of tuberculosis or something like that when he was
Some
like
sort
8.
of illness.
Jamie's nickname was Sawney.
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 That's a nickname for
Alexander Sawney. and then I just wrote a note, damn it, Laura Donnelly, you are great. And then I found out that Jamie's mother died in childbirth, which we already said. Also, the watch is still in the house, like, while this is happening. And so
There's a lot of, like, weird making fun of it.
Laura Donnelly starts screaming because she's in incredible pain that none of these men will ever understand. And one of these guys like, tell your woman to shut up. And it's like, bitch, get these guys out. Why are they even there?
Oh, guys, I think maybe we better go. It sounds to me like someone's outside who needs to be robbed. We should go.
Let's go make some money. It's like, oh, get them out of there.
Yeah.
Jamie, there's the goodbye kiss, which we didn't talk about, when Jamie comes to tell Claire he's leaving, and then they have the goodbye kiss, and it's like, ugh, get a room.
Yep. Totally.
He walks away, slow motion, thunderclap. So that's when we find out that there's the ambush. We didn't actually talk about that with them.
Oh, right.
So Watch gets ambushed, whatever. Tal dies. Also, Tal gave Jamie the weird watch thing. It was in a skull case, whatever. But it's taking Jenny a long time to give birth, and all the men are away, and Claire is trying to help her. It's a girl. Finally, it happens. It looks like it took at least 36 hours.
And the whole time, Jenny is determined that Ian not know that her pregnancy has complications because she doesn't want him to worry.
Right. So she's like, don't tell him anything about what's going on. Don't tell him that I'm in danger. Don't tell him. He doesn't need to know it. And they fucking make it happen. I don't know. Claire reaches inside her and turns the entire baby around or whatever. And then Jenny gives birth to, of course, a baby girl. Her name is Margaret Ellen Murray.
Maggie later.
Maggie. What we don't talk about is that right as the baby is being born is the ambush. Horrocks, Bono,
Horrocks
had one more joke for them, which was that he was leading them into a British ambush because the British had paid him more money. And so now Jamie's been taken by the British.
The best thing I can say about this is while it deviates very sharply, and I'm not opposed to the show deviating sharply from the books, I just want it to do so in a way that's good. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that the storyline is particularly good. As good as the actors are, as good as some of the scenes are, it's not a good storyline. However, it and the events of the book set up one of my favorite episodes of the show.
It's coming up next.
It's next, and it's great.
One little detail that we need to talk about is when Claire got into the jewelry box, she found something fancy.
Oh, yeah, this is important.
And then Jenny comes out after the birth. Like, she just gave birth, a horribly complicated birth, like 3 days ago.
And Claire not only got her through it medically, but emotionally. And they obviously bonded, as you would have to when a woman has her hands inside you.
Yeah. So Claire's been going outside every day to wait by the front gate waiting for Jamie to come home. One day, Jenny comes out like 2 days later. She's totally fine. And she's got these weird ass like tusk bracelets.
Beautiful, but they are weird.
I think they're weird. And she's like, these belong to Jamie's mother, and they were not from Brian. They were from a secret admirer, and she would never tell anyone who they were from. I think you should have these.
You are tall and queenly like her.
Yeah. So Claire gets the tusk bracelets.
And she's obviously very touched.
Ian comes home with Bad Choices Billy Connolly, and that's when we find out that Jamie was taken prisoner by the Redcoats.
Dun, dun, dun. All
right. Jamie's gone.
So we're just going to skip the costume scale again this week, right? Like, there's just not much. Next week probably also won't be much costume-wise. The week after that,
yay.
Good stuff.
Is there another thing you can do, like practical effects or...
Well,
if not,
Woman's Secret, 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Put it up there with oh God, what's the name of that website that teaches women how to masturbate? What's it called? What the fuck is it called?
Here's how to masturbate.com.
No, it's OMG yes. OMG something. It's a whole thing.
Okay, I'm looking it up.
Of course you are.
Also a helpful resource for men, I'm not going to lie. I have seen this. I know how to masturbate. I want to make this clear.
OMGyes.com.
They interviewed a bunch of women about the way that they get off when they're getting themselves off, and had them explain it, and took video. It's not porny. And that way you can see all the many different ways that vaginas and their apparatus work can be stimulated. It's very interesting.
There's a login.
We have to pay for it.
Okay. It's just curious. It looks very, very professional.
It is. If you're a woman who's looking to find new ways to come, or a man who's looking to figure out why it is that the women he's with never come, I recommend this site. Anyway, why did I end up talking about OMG Yes?
Because
I don't know, but I learned something.
There was a guy. It was
There's an app too.
the Women's Secret.
Oh, the Women's Secret. Yeah.
No costumes. Woman's Secret. 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10.
Can I leave the room? Undoubtedly. This is the Ken Burns baseball. This is the Ken Burns baseball.
This one?
If it's not Laura Donnelly and Katrina if it's fucking
You know,
Towel,
that's fine, because
Billy
there are-
Bad Choices, Billy Colony and
great
Halitosis, you're out.
moments in Ken Burns baseball too.
Oh yeah,
That's good. What's the other one? There's another one.
doing it. None.
No doing
Because
it.
anytime I see real footage of a woman giving birth, I never want to do it again.
Yeah.
Even though I truly can't get pregnant because it's an abortion every month inside me.
Oh my god.
That was good.
Scientifically, no.
Well, I mean, yeah. If
It's
something
preventing.
if something implants, it's being pulled out. And
Preventing.
It's stopping it. So yeah,
Sort of.
I'm not afraid to say it. I had an abortion machine implanted in my uterus.
Medically, only sort of.
Whatever.
Prevents implantation.
All I know is I'm not getting pregnant.
It's not like it gets implanted and then the IUD is like, pew, and kicks it out of your body.
No, although sometimes it'll try to get pregnant up in the thing. We
Yeah,
talked about that.
that's different.
Same, yeah.
Well, Julie and I managed to horrify our partners by letting them know that, in fact, the most foolproof method of non-surgical birth control, could result in us dying, and both of their faces went pale.
'Cause
And I
they
think
have
in
no
that
idea.
moment, they both honestly considered vasectomies.
You know why? Hashtag Woman's Secret.
Hashtag Woman's Secret. Okay. We need to thank our Patreon patrons. All of you are wonderful. In particular, we want to thank Beth Lack, Amanda Newton, Jen Lander Drunklin. I'm just always calling you by that, Jen Lander. Friday Payton and Kathleen Moniz, who will never listen to the show. Kathleen, if you're listening to this one, we love you. We want to thank Empirical Brewery, who explore the science of beer and aid many a woman in discovering her own secrets.
And also have an incredible brewery. Lots of little kitties
Oh,
everywhere.
yeah, and they're named after the Ghostbusters. It's great. And if you like the show, follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/PodlanderCast, Twitter at PodlanderCast. Go to Patreon and become a Patreon patron. Plumbing. And
Me, my period.
and back us for all kinds of goodies. And leave us a review, iTunes, Stitcher, wherever. Reviews really, honest to God, help. The iTunes math is very complicated. None of us have any idea how it works. And by none of us, I mean like the podcasting community in general. It seems largely arbitrary, but I know for sure that things will go better for us if you review us and rate us and tell your friends, etc. You're the best. We talked way too long about an episode we don't like much.
That's true.
But we'll be back next week with The Search.
Oh, God.
Which is great. Which is the moment when I fell in love with the pamplemousse. You?
Yes.
Yeah. This is the pamplemousse. All right.
I cannot wait.
It's good.
Maybe we should make Janine watch this one.
No, he's like, no.
I get one per season. I've done it.
All right.
That's
all right.
fair. All right. Bye.
Bye.